I'm Etienne. Etienne de Lavaulx is my name. I play the guitar and I also play the zither. Let me show you the zither. Here it is. And I was born in France and now I live in Australia, in Melbourne. So I am an amateur musician. I'm a family man who enjoys to play my instrument, both my instruments. We make a living from teaching and selling CDs, a little bit of performing in a small way. Everything I do is to do with music. I started out with a little instrument like this. When we were in France, as a child, my parents gave me a little zither like this. I was 6 years old at the time. Just follow the dots. Very simple. And so on. And later on, my parents bought me a guitar. I found it under the Christmas tree. There was also a tutor. So I started to play the exercises on the Christmas day. And then soon after, my parents obtained the help of a teacher who used to come to our house. I enjoyed playing my guitar. As soon as I came back from school, I would pick it up and play. Later on, I was a Boy Scout, and during the camps we used to have sing-songs around the fire, and we would sing a lot of songs, and I was in charge of the singing. My parents organized for me to go to a college in Normandy, where I would be studying agricultural science. I had plenty of time to practice my guitar, and I used to play with a friend who was a banjo player, and him and I would play duets. And it's in this college that I started to write music. Now, in 1969, my parents decided that we should migrate to Australia. So my brother and I followed along. We were pretty excited by the move. It's like a big adventure. And when we came to Melbourne, I was sent to a similar college where you study agriculture. That was Longerenong College near Horsham, where I spent about a year. And again, I had my guitar with me, and I used to practice and compose. I didn't do very much work. I wasn't the best of students, but I was a bit of a dreamer. And I remember sitting on top of a haystack, playing my guitar during sunset time. I moved to Adelaide after a while, and I lived for 5 years in Adelaide. I had a cousin there, and I would stay with him at the beginning. And later on, we moved with a friend in a house that was in Merino Rocks. And that house was overlooking the sea. From my bedroom I had the uninterrupted view of the sea, and it was a very special spot. And I wrote a lot of music during my Adelaide years. This is where I started to teach guitar. I was making a living from teaching. There was something quite interesting happened in Adelaide. A friend of ours who played the zither, or he didn't play, he had a zither, and he lent it to me. And when I got this instrument, which I didn't know anything about, of course I had a little one when I was a kid, but this was a different thing altogether. I just sat down. Here's my zither. I sat down and I worked out how to play. I didn't know how to play, but I taught myself because I had a background in classical guitar. There was nobody around to show me how to play anyway. So I figured out, I retuned the instrument. I made it slightly different to the original tuning because the original tuning didn't make a lot of sense. For instance, there are no minor chords in it. I spent some time rethinking the tuning, and now I use what I call the revised tuning. After about 5 years in Adelaide, I took a trip back to Europe, and that trip was for two reasons. It was, of course, to go and see France, the place where we used to live, and also to see my spiritual teacher, Sant Darshan Singh Ji. So on my way back from Europe, I stopped over in India and met him in Delhi. And I received the initiation on the inner light and sound, which is consisted of a method of meditation, which I follow to this day. He heard me play the guitar, and he was appreciative, and he advised me to remain an amateur and do things not in a big way, but just for enjoyment. So after this trip to Europe, I came back to Melbourne, not to Adelaide. I came back to where my parents lived, stayed with them for a couple of years, and started to teach guitar privately. And also I started to record cassettes with the zither, because zither was fairly unusual. Not many people play. It was easy to sell zither music. I would go to markets and demonstrate how the zither is played and sell my cassettes. I married Debbie in 1983, and we had 2 children. When the children were born, I wrote some music and dedicated some of it to my boys. And I kept playing the zither, which paid for the bills, and teaching classical guitar. And that was family life. In the evening I would come to the music room where we are standing now, and I would write down music, and I got a calligraphy pen and started to write my music properly. And nowadays, of course, we use a computer, which is a bit easier. If you make a mistake, you don't have to start all over again. I composed for the guitar for a period of about 30 years, between the age of, say, 18 and 38. No, 48. Now I don't write for guitar anymore, but what happened is that when I turned 60, around that time, my younger son, Jeremy, asked me to record all my compositions and arrangements. And this became what we call now the 5 seasons of guitar. So that's this box set. And there are 5 CDs in this. And there are 58 compositions and 22 arrangements. This is the subject of another YouTube video, how this compilation was made. I perform in a small way. I sing with my sister-in-law, and the 2 of us are called Timeless Melodies. And we go to nursing homes and retirement villages and entertain the older people. I have played with a group called Time Traveller in the late 80s, or 90s I should say. We only stayed together for about 2 years, and this group was formed by Michael Johnson, the famous Melbourne harpist. We put together an album called Time Traveller, which consisted of compositions by Michael and by myself. So I have produced many CDs of zither music, and also I did produce one guitar CD called Gentle Guitar. I hope that you can enjoy my YouTube videos, both of zither and guitar. Please look at my website. If any of you are interested to play my compositions, especially the guitar compositions, you're most welcome to contact me or look on my website, and I can send you the paper sheet music or a PDF of the music. Thank you for listening.